Paid intern.
I was gonna say.
What, you're unpaid intern?
Unpaid
yes.
we have to figure out a role for Sam.
Wait, you don't have a beard either. I was about to say I'll be the unfacial haired man, but
Our babyface co-host.
yeah.
Babyface co-host.
Hello and welcome to episode 15 of the Nerd Switch podcast. My name is Dylan, and joining me once again today is my good friend and fellow nerd Jeremiah.
Hello, everybody. Good to be here again as well.
Back again, but just barely, unpaid intern Kyle.
Thank you for finally letting me out of the cellar again.
Oh man, what's not Child Protective Services? You're too old for that. Maybe just the police. Also joining us today, a special guest who was with us once before, but Mr. Sam, one of the hosts of the Average Joe Show.
Hello.
Hello, ho.
Hello.
You just gonna treat my audience?
No. Did I seriously say hello?
That's what it sounded
I said
like.
hello.
You hoes.
None of y'all are hoes.
Maybe
I know none of yous.
Sam can just be the hoe.
Yeah, okay. I'll take it.
Oh man. So today we have a pretty fun one. We're just going to be talking about some video game adaptations. We're at an interesting point where we've got The Last of Us recently, which is an adaptation that's getting a lot of critical praise. And so it's a good time, I think, just to kind of look at the topic and really explore it in terms of like how it was at some point, how it's going now, kind of things to look forward to, things that maybe are still not great about adaptations because they kind of have that, what's the word I'm looking for?
Suckiness?
The suck, sure. So yeah, we'll just dive into that topic here today, nothing too crazy, so let's go ahead and flip the switch and talk about some video game adaptations.
I don't know. I was going to think of doing like The Last of Us, but I don't know any songs for it.
With the Mario... I don't care. Here we go. So, yeah, kind of like we mentioned, it's become a common consensus among gamers and moviegoers alike that most video game adaptations are kind of poorly received or maybe aren't super faithful depictions of their source material, which I think attributes to a lot of the consensus that video game adaptations just aren't very good. But we just kind of want to really break it down. We're going to go pretty in depth. We're going to look at some examples. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, just a lot of stuff in general. And the first key point I just want to kind of dive into on this is, are video game adaptations really that bad?
I mean, that's fair. That's a good question to go for.
I think each one's debatable.
Yeah.
You have your good, and then you have not so good at all. They've been doing video game adaptations for years, and we've had definitely some that don't need to see the light of day again, but we'll probably bring them up anyway.
Yeah, it's an interesting question to ask because, like, statistically, if you're looking at box office results, most video game adaptations actually perform pretty well. And obviously, you've got a large fan base. If they enjoy the games, you're going to draw people into the theater to see it. And so you can say that they are not bad in terms of, box office performance, but the movie that you get and that you're left to reflect on after watching it, that's where I think the consensus comes from.
Good job.
It's hard to talk. Well, I mean, I guess the one thing we can kind of start with is one of the key points I didn't quite put down in our notes, but the reason that I think most video game adaptations fail is because they don't pay enough respect to the source material. And this is something that probably more comes from the studio side of adapting a game, because they have to consider the audience being both fans of the original content and people who have no idea what the original game is. And that's where they kind of, I feel like, have to adjust things, maybe narratively, to try and make it more commonly appealable to both sides. But that ends up pissing off the people on the game side, because then, it's not the same.
From the game side, it kind of doesn't make sense because, for a starting movie or series, if you're going based off a game, if it's something that's an intro to it, I don't feel like you need to remove stuff. Because as a gamer, you're going into it brand new as well. So when you're playing the game, all of it's new to you. When it's a series or a movie, for the gamer, you're going to have that experience. And for them, they're going to go into it new. They just didn't play it. For those that haven't played it, they're getting that intro experience. So I don't see why they would need to remove stuff. Now, as for one example, we have something like the Mortal Kombat series or Warcraft was made into a movie.
Yeah.
For those, it can kind of go either way. For Warcraft, that's such a large world, such a large lore. It's harder. I can see why you would add stuff to it to give it like an intro. That definitely changes the aspect for it, where it's not going to be the same.
Yeah.
But then, of course, you have the people that have played it for years that are all for it, and they're going to not like it because they might have to do... The studio is going to have to do something that's different towards the game.
Yeah, and it's tricky because, video games typically run anywhere, like they can be as short as 4 to 6 hours or as long as like 50 to 60 hours, if not more. So taking something that can run that long and trying to minimize it into a digestible, like 2-hour film can, I understand, be a very technical challenge.
Understandably, because there's a lot you can have to add to it and build upon.
Yeah.
Or if it's... And that's kind of another thing, I guess another point is sometimes these movies aren't meant to be created as a full movie. Like you said, it's just kind of put in there. Maybe the studio wanted to throw a little team together, put it together, and make a movie. And it's not something that's going to be dedicated to expand upon.
Well, yeah, but you can make the argument too, like if you're adapting a video game series, but you're not going to roll with the game's actual story. Like, for example, take the Paul W.S. Anderson Resident Evil movies.
Mm-hmm.
They are Resident Evil related. They use characters from the games as well as making their own character, but the story is so wildly different that it's like, why not just make your own story instead of trying to tie it in?
Very true. And I've had that point too with the fact that, those Resident Evil movies is entirely different up until the very end. The first movie plays with it a little bit, having Raccoon City, the Hive lab. Then you kind of get 1 or 2 characters in the second movie. So I agree. It is weird to throw that in and not create your own thing.
Yeah, it's just like, I get you're going to draw people in by having that name, but it's just like the story is already there.
Mm-hmm.
And it, like, I know it's hard, but it can't be that hard to try and adapt it,
Well, if you look at Marvel movies, they're not based, it's not going shot by shot from a comic book.
Right.
It's based around a comic line, and then they just add their own little touches to it to make it good. And I don't understand why I don't know. I think there's just such a big fan base. If I wasn't if there was such a big fan base with the gaming industry, and they have such critical thinking towards these video game movies, and there's probably a ton of people who have the same feelings that we do towards Marvel movies. They have the critical thoughts, thinking oh, this isn't how it's supposed to go. In the Civil War movies, it was supposed to be about it was supposed to be the comic was about the heroes were going to reveal their identities to the world because they had to become governized and whatever, and people were wanting to protect their identity from the villains, and that was the starting conflict. While in the movie, it was just, oh, we gotta like just make sure that we're controlled by the government.
Yeah.
Take responsibility for
Yeah,
fights that weren't
yeah.
our fault.
But for some reason, because of that
Honestly.
weird change, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Comic book, I'm Team Iron Man, but Team Cap all the way in the movie.
Thank you.
What do you mean? It was
I will admit I don't know Iron Man's side for comic books, so I don't know comic book side too much on that actually. I know a lot more.
in the comic side. It's just Iron Man's all about everyone knowing who he is. So he's like, if I can do it this easily, I'm sure everyone else can.
Yeah.
But then you take in like Peter Parker or someone who, if he's revealed, like everyone around him dies.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's Spider-Man's whole deal.
Yeah.
Well, and Iron Man's kind of the same way in the movies too.
Yeah.
Like, here I am.
I
Come at me.
I see the point you're making though, because they're adapting the material, they are changing things. That I wouldn't label that as being like a huge deviation, but it is like pretty substantial.
I feel like it's about like there's as much changes that I've seen in like comparing to comics and movies. Like there's like video games and comics have had the same amount of change, and for some reason it's not successful.
Yeah. That's where I say a lot of the trouble does come from trying to condense a video game story into such a short format.
And I still feel like they paid respect to the source material, right?
Yeah.
With Marvel, like we talked about earlier, one that definitely didn't pay respect is the Halo series.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I understand that, and that's a series that I feel like they created for everybody,
Yeah.
not just like the hardcore fans of Halo.
Yeah, and that Paramount came out and said that beforehand. They're like, we're doing our own story with this. It's not, the same Master Chief. But for the people that have spent now, like, I don't know, 12 to 14 plus years with this character.
Yeah.
Like, it's a hard pill to swallow when you see Master Chief just whip his helmet off nonchalant in the first, 20 minutes of the episode. I didn't finish the Halo series, but by episode 3 or 4, I had personally had enough.
I shouldn't have liked it as much as I did.
And it's not, it's okay to like it.
But if you couldn't finish it and you hated it off the rip, you're definitely going to hate the ending.
That's just what's weird, because, someone who's never played a Halo game might look at the Halo TV series and be like, that was really good. I want to go play the game. And then they might play the game
Interesting
now.
concept.
Yeah, they'll play the game with that perception of the TV show, and they'll be like, whoa, this game's way different. And then maybe they won't like the game as much.
Yeah, this guy doesn't talk. You don't see his face. Like, who is he?
Well, I think the problem is that the player has such attachment to the character that they're playing,
Yeah.
and it just seems like in Master Chief's situation, it's just like, oh, this is me that you're dealing with. You're dealing with my character that I've been playing as for all these years, and so you have to you're treating it like it's your own child. With the Uncharted series, I think that's by far one of my favorite series of all time. Sort of to shift it to a different
No, you're good.
sorry. Yeah. I was so scared to go in and watch Uncharted because I'm like, ooh, I love the series so much. I'm just not gonna have any expectations for it. And I went in. It was okay. I was very disappointed because I'm like, this isn't Nathan Drake. Nathan Drake is not Spider-Man, and then there's Mark Wahlberg just doing his one note thing of always playing Mark Wahlberg, and I was just so disrespected that he is not Victor Sullivan, and I don't know. I don't know, the relationship that I've had with the characters in the games was sort of just tainted when you see it on a screen and you see somebody else have their take on it. Yeah. But the thing is, the writers of the movies could have had that kind of relationship with those characters, and they're like, oh, Victor Sullivan totally was like a Mark Wahlberg when he was younger, or
Yeah, I feel like the writers of these movies should definitely have to play the games.
Yeah,
beforehand.
and that is another pretty massive contributing factor too. Is sometimes the studio has no idea.
Really?
Yeah,
the source
they
material.
just-
Yeah,
they
that's
just
kind
know
of the
big
biggest
idea.
thing. That's what I was trying to say earlier, is that they're only throwing together a small team, maybe some knowledge. Sometimes it's no knowledge at all, and they just look it up as much as they can,
They're like, "Oh,
and then
Master
they
Chief
put it
College's
together.
Because there are a bunch of like I don't know the name of who plays Master Chief in Halo, but he came out and he said he wants to pay homage to him and he wants to like pay respect to him, but he doesn't write the script.
Right.
Right?
Like, yeah, he's not the one like doing the idea.
I mean, another example of that, of like someone who is a huge fan of their character that wants to play it,
I know where this is going.
is the Witcher series. Henry Cavill is such a Witcher fan. He loves the books, and it's something that is not pulled into.
Yeah, and that's one
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up too, because he's actually like on his own accord leaving the Witcher series because they were continuously just doing their own thing with the story, which the Witcher story does not really need to be changed. Because I mean, you have the games and the books, and there's a lot of source material to
that you
write
could kind
from.
of pick and choose from.
Yeah, and a like AAA actor who is familiar with the source material and can actually do something with it. But even then, they're like, no, we're just going to do our own thing.
As unhappy as I am that he's not in The Witcher anymore, I gotta respect it because, like you said, like he wants to pay respect to it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He wants it to be as it should for the rest of the fan base. And
Yeah.
if they're not going to do it, then I don't want to be part of it.
And that's not to say that the Witcher series was bad. I even enjoyed it
Yeah,
despite
from
the,
what's there, it's
I've
a
enjoyed
good
the first two
watch.
seasons
Yeah.
so far. Yeah. But I guess what they're doing with season 3, maybe I won't.
Yeah, I don't know. But that is like there's a lot of stuff that goes on that I think highly changes the final product we get, because I mean the studio interference, trying to condense stuff into a shorter runtime, there's a lot.
one thing I always have too, which kind of brings up more with Uncharted as well, being like adaptive into this movie with your characters that they choose and how they set it up. One of the things that always bothers me is when they change stuff is it can change the entire story on how they change things. Mm-hmm. One thing with Uncharted is they don't add, to me, one of the most important characters to the movie. They have Chloe, who's there, who is a big part for part of it.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
But they don't have Elena.
I know.
One of the most important characters through all 3 games, except for kind of 2. She is in it, but she is the most important character in my opinion because her character is a part of his story.
Mm-hmm.
And
I think she's an interesting character too. I could talk about the series forever though.
and that's the thing, like such an important character is removed and that takes away part of the story. Even if they had have like hinted more towards her character, again, my problem again, like seeing Spider-Man being this character, he's just such a young character that you have to force this now to look young, to be further in the past.
Well, something that was also interesting with that movie is from my memory of it, when was it put out, like last year?
Last year.
Yeah. So it's been a while since I watched it, but like from my memory, I felt like there was not a lot of like action, like killing and whatever. Because Nathan Drake, he has a kill list, bro. Like
No, it
he's
was just a
like-
heist movie, really.
Yeah, and it's like he didn't like.
He
He's
doesn't
supposed to
get-
feel more like Indiana Jones. That's like what he should be feeling like versus having the heist feel of it.
Yeah.
He's not stealing treasure from, like it feels like he's stealing treasure from people, not finding treasure and like preserving it.
It
or
honestly-
trying to at least.
It honestly felt like an even softer rating for like a National Treasure kind of movie. Because it's just treasure hunting, basically.
Yeah.
And again, the one thing I noticed, like the character creation for Nathan to like kind of appear, you don't really see it until like way towards the end. He's fighting. He grabs someone's holster and he puts it on, and you see it put on. It's like, oh, hey, my character's finally here. In like the last 10
He
minutes of the
doesn't
movie.
use it though.
It's like, oh,
He doesn't use it.
oh.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of killing in those games.
Oh, yeah.
And
and he's like even apologetic about one of them, like he literally just launches like one of those big crate boxes at a guy behind him, and he just goes soaring off the plane, and he's like, "Oh, sorry." I'm like, "You shouldn't be. You shouldn't be."
I'm hoping that's just the intro, and
if they do continue this movie, like I'm just hoping for more.
He's more experienced. He's more.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I have to do to get that treasure.
Oh,
and
right.
If you're in my way, you're gonna die.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I have a quick quote. This is from Penguin Zero on YouTube. I don't know if you guys are familiar.
Is that Moist Critical?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, this was in regards to the recent Velma show that they put on HBO Max, but he said, taking an IP and then telling your own unique story within that world, or even using the characters in different ways, I think is always totally fine, and I welcome it. I'm always excited to see how new interpretations of this work that I like, but there needs to be a level of respect paid to the source material as well as it making sense for it to exist and justify its own creation.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think Uncharted, like I didn't actually see the movie, but from what I know, it did enough of that to like warrant it. And it's not like it's wildly different.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas what he's talking about with like the Velma adaptation is they just took the character of Velma, made her massively different from the show, and then just did whatever they wanted to it for fun.
Yeah, the entire show is different.
Yeah. And that's what I mean is just there has to be some sort of connect. I mean, there's a lot of examples we can look at, and even some of the bad shows do pay respect to the source material but are still bad. Like, remember, I never watched this one either, but it looks like childhood nightmare fuel with like the original Mario movie. The Mario Brothers or whatever.
That was one that I wanted to watch before we recorded. I wanted it so bad.
But yeah, it's just, like, it is really important, I think, to at least have it make sense to exist within that world. Like, you can have an Uncharted movie using all the same characters, but it's got to be close enough to the depiction that we're familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we go down the line and look at some other adaptations that were critically panned, like, we already touched on Halo. That one is mostly from the fan side, that it's getting negative feedback. There's the last year, there was a TV series for Resident Evil put on Netflix, which I did not watch, but I heard it's, like, massively different from the games.
And this is the live action one they did?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I definitely didn't watch it. I don't remember if it's the one I'm thinking of.
I also didn't watch it. I just didn't think it looked very good, to be
Yeah.
honest with you.
No, I watched some sort of analysis on it, because initially I think it was like IGN or someone put out a review saying it was like fantastic.
Yeah.
And I was curious, and then I watched someone else's video on it, and they're like, yeah, no, this is trash. It's another thing, I think IGN was just being kind of like woke with it, because there's a lot of political stuff, I guess, with the new series. But
Okay.
yeah, another recent example with 2021 was the Mortal Kombat movie, which this one I have divided thoughts on, because the parts of it that do tie directly to the game were really good, but they felt like they had to go and introduce their own new character for the movie, which I did not like.
That's the one aspect of it I didn't like as well.
Yeah.
But it was entertaining.
Like
enjoyed
watching
it.
everything between Scorpion and Sub-Zero, that was really good.
That was good.
Yeah.
But it's just like, I don't know why they feel like they have to change so much when there's like so much you can draw from that's already existing and good.
Well, I feel like, okay. I think I don't know. Like, I feel like they didn't change up too much of the story, given that I don't have too much knowledge of it. And but I think the solution that they should have had for the movie was just have Liu Kang be the main character, and then just cut out, what was this guy's name?
I don't even remember.
I want to say Cassian Cage, but I'm like, wait, no, there's Johnny Cage.
No.
I think Cassian Cage is
Cassie Cage is the daughter,
that's
yeah.
what I'm thinking of. Yeah, no, I think I saw Cassian Andor. That's it. No, whatever this guy's name is, I
don't
think
remember.
they could have
There
killed him
was
out.
so many different characters that they could have used.
Yeah,
They
and
didn't
it's
need
like
to create one.
every
Oh,
Mortal
yeah.
Kombat character in the games is fleshed out through the story and super
Mhm.
interesting, and then they just gave us this extremely generic, like, vanilla cookie cutter
Yeah.
protagonist, and I hated it.
Well, I think they could even have done I think Sonya would have been a good person to follow because she has like they have like everybody has like the chi or whatever. They have like the birthmark with the dragon on it, and she doesn't have one the whole time. And they could have been like, "Yo, let's just follow her storyline," and her being like, "Man, I don't have the cool logo." And then Kano comes in or whatever, which he's I love.
Yeah, Kano was good.
I
mean, there's enough there. Like they could have even just done a movie with the whole history between Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
I think they're planning on doing one though.
Yeah.
Like they're doing, I think they're gonna do a trilogy, and then they're gonna do a prequel movie with Sub-Zero and Scorpion.
I mean, those are the two like staple characters you think of when you think of Mortal Kombat. It's those two.
Oh yeah. Well, they've been on the cover of every single game.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and they're the sickest. So.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, and then another one we kind of briefly touched on with Resident Evil again, just the old Paul W.S. Anderson ones. These are the like peak 2000s filmmaking Resident Evil movies that were very slow motion, actiony. I don't know how big of a fan you guys are.
Tried to do the Matrix.
Yeah, tried to do the Matrix with Resident Evil. And like I had fun with a lot of these. There was a time I just went through and watched them all, and they're enjoyable. But I cannot personally associate them like with Resident Evil.
No.
And me and Jeremiah are pretty big fans of Resident Evil.
Yeah, we are. Not gonna lie, if they did like an adaptation for 7 or 8, I'd be pretty interested in watching that. It'd be kind of cool.
Another one from 2016 is the Assassin's Creed movie. What did you guys think on that one?
Well, I was indifferent about it because I'd never played an Assassin's Creed game. I'm like, okay, I know that's a hooded fellow with the blades coming out of the wrist, and it was. I thought it was all right, and I also watched it at like 3 a.m. And so I'm like, I'm just not feeling it.
I can tell you this. I know I watched it. Do I remember most of it? Not at all.
Exactly.
It didn't leave any like good impressions, but it didn't leave enough bad impression either that I had to remember those.
It's very different because like I have played every Assassin's Creed game.
Same.
And like it does pay decent respect, except they do something pretty different with the Animus and
I was curious how they do that because I didn't watch it. But
Yeah.
I love
the way they did it is, I mean, the game is you sit on the table and your mind just absorbs it.
Basically.
Eventually, they have him kind of test that ability, and he's just kind of muscle memorying it. In the movie, the machine itself moves him.
Yeah,
As-
Oh
yeah, it has like a waist strap and he's just hooked up.
Yeah, he's
like
hooked
it's
up.
VR or something.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Oh,
but
is
it's
it?
like a
What?
giant crane arm that literally
Yeah, and he's
moves
like-
him around the room.
Oh yeah.
So weird.
So weird.
I don't like that, and I'm definitely not going to watch it now. Thanks, guys.
Well, the thing with because I actually watched that movie twice, and like the first time I did hate it. The second time I went in with a different expectation of like how they're doing this one.
Like they paid respect, but they had to do it differently.
Yeah, parts of it I do still really like all the stuff where he's actually being the assassin, like in the Spanish Inquisition. That's all great. Like that is Assassin's Creed. It's its own story.
Which surprisingly, the games for me, being in the Animus, being in the memory, that's great. I hated coming out of it.
Well,
Some
that's
games
what's
did
weird.
Good, some games didn't.
Yeah.
This is why I think this movie failed, because all of the fans of Assassin's Creed prior to this movie coming out, they're like, hey, just remember, us gamers over here, we don't really like the Animus, like being out of the Animus sequences in the game. So, I mean, you can do it, just don't do it a lot. And then it's like, boom, more than half of the movie, he's out of the Animus.
That's what I was worried about. Yeah.
Which, yeah, I mean, I like the actor. Who was that?
What's
Michael Fassbender?
Yeah, Michael
Yeah,
Fassbender. Like, he does good in the role. The assassin stuff is really great. It's just when he's out of the Animus doing all the corporate stuff with the generic evil company.
Templars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they did something kind of weird with the Templars, too, which isn't really close to the games. But, like, it's a fine movie. And I know it, like, box office-wise did pretty good. It's just, for people who are fans of the series, probably not as good to them.
Yeah.
Another same year, so it was a pretty decent year for video game adaptations, but with Warcraft, like we talked about. Which this one I actually liked. But I have the stance on this one that I know nothing about Warcraft, so
I'm right there with you. I've never played it. It's always looked interesting.
So yeah,
it was pretty good.
I had the older brother that played it all the time, but it was the older brother that did not let me join. So I just kind of looked in every once in a while. I was like, that looks fun. Can I play it? He'd be like, no, close the door. And
You're like, giving the broken controller. You're like, yo,
Here you go, buddy. Yeah, you're killing it.
I think I have one memory of him actually putting me in the chair and letting me play a character for like 10 minutes, and then I don't remember anything else after that.
Like, no, Jeremiah, no, don't do that. Get out of here.
Yeah, but that's what's interesting, because like when you have someone who doesn't know anything about the game, they might think it's a lot better than someone who does, because they don't have that expectation in place prior to seeing it.
Exactly, yeah.
So, I mean, like another one of 2015 with Hitman Agent 47.
Was that any good?
I think I watched like 20 minutes, and it wasn't that good.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's definitely better, like, Hitman movies out there. Not like Hitman title.
Yeah.
I'm saying just like the genre,
I remember
a great example is John Wick. You know, it's that kind of a movie.
Yeah, it's
Hitman
like
47 was very
generic.
Well, is Hitman
Stick to the
like,
games.
well, is Hitman like a story-driven game?
To an extent.
Okay.
I mean, it is mostly focused on the gameplay, but there's like a narrative in place to get you from location to location.
Well, that's like what I think some problems are is when movie companies try to do movies on games that are popular, but they're not popular for its story.
Maybe not the best for a live action adaptation.
Yeah, that's why I was really scared when they announced the Mario Brothers movie. But then, like, watching the trailer, I'm like, I have faith in it. It could be good.
The cast alone honestly gives me faith just because it sounds fun. That's me though. I think it sounds fun. I'm talking about like Jack. I'm talking about like Jack Black as Bowser.
Yeah, that's it.
Hold on.
No.
We'll save this for the last part when we talk about upcoming stuff.
Okay.
The one point I do want to make, and something that I think would be beneficial, especially given a recent example we've been given, is I think video game adaptations might just be better suited for like TV series, where you can take the time with the characters and the world.
Yeah, because I guess a movie you just have to get.
A movie is rushed always, but a series you can do the hour-long episode, and you can throw together 8-10 episodes and tell a long story there.
Yeah. You also have to go back to the fact that if you're going to do like an 8 to 10 episode series, those writers and everyone involved, like as far as like producers, directors, they have to play the games.
Yeah,
because they have to know what they're talking about.
There was an example of this not working out with the Halo series.
Yes, it's good. I don't know anybody who hasn't played the games and has watched it, but I imagine they'd like it more than most of the fan base did.
Yeah, I think, I don't remember exactly. My uncle never played the game, but I think he said the show was cool. Which, I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, I mean,
but
you don't know anything about them.
Like, I think giving it more time, like, you have the episodes to let you get to know the characters, get to know everything that's going on, rather than just throwing you in. Which, I mean, movie-wise, it works fine for fans of the series, because they're already established with everything, but a newcomer to like the Assassin's Creed movie might be a lot more confused.
Definitely.
Another thing too, like bringing back up the Halo, like adaptations, and if you make too many changes, it's like, why are you using the same name just to pull in people?
Right. Yeah.
A good example was Halo had been tried before, as you told me that District 9 was the same thing. District 9 was meant to be a Halo movie.
Yeah, so Neil Blomkamp had a fan movie he made for Halo, and he was trying to like get the in to be able to make it, and I think he was just told no. And so he made District 9, which we all know how District 9 turned out. That movie's fantastic. But
yeah. I would not have gotten Halo out of that at all.
So yeah, just kind of interesting there, but
it's the brighter idea that it's like, okay, I wanted to do something. Well, everybody's changing it too much. Well, then you don't get to use this title because it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We're not going to use a title that just draws in a crowd that's going to completely hate it. When it's like, no, change the title, give it something else, create your own. Since you created your own thing here, you can't use someone else's title for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing is like a giant name like Halo, and something that I grew up with, like you said, that we know for like 12, 14 years. Like, I have to watch it regardless.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Halo is probably the biggest offender of
Yeah.
changing the source
Not
material.
Yep.
But yeah, so
Although there is technically an old one, which I'll bring up, is Doom.
oh yeah.
Because we have The Rock
I was going to
as
mention that as well.
soldier, and he's terrible. He's just terrible.
I enjoyed it when I was 8.
Do you think you'd enjoy it if you watched it now?
Do you think you could watch more than 20 minutes of it
Maybe
now?
because like just nostalgia.
Yeah.
I know this movie, but that was before I played the games. Like after I play the games, the movie sucks. Like,
Yeah.
But it's one that I can acknowledge. It's not good. Still kind of want to watch it though.
That's the umbrella a lot of the older video game adaptations fall under, is kind of like the so bad it's good kind of category.
Yeah.
And I don't want them to be there because, it's...
I want them to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it can still be fun, for sure, but...
An old one I've had that has had great reviews of adaptations was Silent Hill, the first one.
Yeah.
They made movies?
They did.
They did. The first Silent Hill was actually considered like a top tier game adaptation for its time.
Yeah.
A lot of people that reviewed Silent Hill, that played the games, they loved it. And of course, the second one is completely different, but game wise, the games were fantastic to change into that first movie.
Yeah.
I didn't play the games or see the movies actually.
I got to see a lot about it. I didn't get to
about
play them
both?
myself, but I did watch a lot of the playthroughs. After watching the first Silent Hill, I was like, I want to see more for it, and I looked up the game, and I just started watching a ton of for it. And I was like, this is awesome.
The
Yeah.
game's worth it.
From
Games
what,
were fun.
from what I've heard, it might be kind of hard to play them now because it's very much
Yeah.
like that old style development.
That's kind of why I watched more of it.
Yeah.
But now, then again, we're also getting Silent Hill 2 game remade.
Okay.
And that's going to be coming out soon.
Yeah. So, I guess the last movie, I don't know if any of you even saw this, but the 2014 adaptation of Need for Speed.
Yeah.
I heard of it.
Yeah, I watched that. Yeah.
It's just another example of taking a game premise and putting it into live action form in like the most generic way possible.
That movie sucked. Oh my god.
Well, that's like an example of something that has no story whatsoever. Like,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
knowledge of Need for Speed is just like, oh, you're just playing with your buddy to just drive around and race.
Yeah, you can label any racing movie technically as a Need for Speed movie.
Oh, 100%.
Very true.
You're just trying to be the best. That's it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and
How
then-
inventive.
You just got to get that line in there where he's like, I've got the need for speed.
yeah, that was so
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
Wait, does he say it in the movie?
I
Or
don't
do they say it in the movie?
I feel like they
In
did.
Top Gun? Yeah.
No, I know in Top Gun, because that's where it comes from.
Yeah,
no,
that's
no,
where
no.
it came from.
I feel like it might have been referenced. I don't
Probably.
remember. Like
That's
I've only watched
hilarious.
it once.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if I've actually seen Need for Speed, but I can definitely say there's a meme scene from that is used today, and now I know what it's from.
Okay, what mean?
It's
I keep forgetting his name.
Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul. Yeah.
it's him screaming.
That's the only reason I was excited to see the movie, because I was fresh off of Breaking Bad. I'm like, oh, Aaron
Yeah.
Paul's in it? Okay.
Oh, he's
He's
What's
the
his
main
name?
guy.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
There it is.
Oh yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
there, that's that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never known what that's from, but apparently that's Need for Speed.
Okay.
Now I know.
Yeah, that story was not good.
So, what game do you guys think should have a movie adaptation? Not a TV show adaptation, but like a movie adaptation.
I have a good one for this, because to me the game is extremely cinematic, and it's one that we're all, well, you're not messing with
Yes.
it,
Yes.
but Death Stranding. I mean, the cutscenes are already like straight across movie quality, and
So
it's
good.
all real life actors, extremely good motion capture. I could easily, and this is one actually that was going to come up later, because there's rumors that there is a movie that might come from Death Stranding.
I could definitely see, like, as from what I've played, is doing pretty well.
Yeah.
My only thing would be like the standard deliveries that you have to do where you're
Yeah.
delivering back and forth.
I think
I
I
just
just
don't-
mention those.
Yeah, I just
the delivery part will probably be a very minor, just a vehicle for him to get.
Yeah, I
from,
feel
A
like
to
I feel
B.
like
Yeah.
maybe each time he's progressing to different locations, it just shows him like kind of
Yeah.
loading up.
I don't think you're
car
gonna
or
sit
his
there
truck.
watching Norman Reedus like crawl around for 30 minutes. But
Yeah.
That'd be my thought.
Yeah.
My hope, no, it's not.
But
Yeah.
focus on the BTs and the.
Yeah.
I was just
gigs
thinking
and
of a game
everything.
too, and now I can't think of what it was again.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for that question.
That's a
But
good
Death
question.
Stranding,
For sure.
Death Stranding, that could be a really good movie.
I think so.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I would pick because they already tried to attempt doing Uncharted, but
He's like Uncharted, but better.
Yeah, just scrap that one.
yeah, that didn't
Get a-
exist. It
get
never
a-
came out.
Get a better Sully. Get an actual older looking,
Yeah.
scruffier looking.
Okay, Tom Cruise 10 years ago. Perfect Nathan Drake, in my opinion.
You know who'd be
I
a
can
good
see-
Sully?
Who?
Is Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think-
I don't
yes.
know. Even though he already played Sully in that
Yeah,
one
but
airplane.
exactly. It's basically the same character.
Yeah. Wait, Sully's a prequel, or is it like, bro?
That's what he did before he met Nathan.
Okay, that's probably why I was confused in the Uncharted movie. I get it now. I'll have to, I'll revisit it.
But why not just do the same guy who voiced him, right?
Oh, Nolan
'Cause
North.
Yeah.
For
I think he's too old.
You think so?
Yeah.
At this point, I thought he'd be really good.
Oh, he looks
just like Nathan
good.
Drake.
Actually, didn't they do like a fan film? And
Yeah.
he is pretty old, so it would have to be like a later, like
Oh,
Uncharted
That's true.
4
They actually did
territory,
have
but-
him in Uncharted.
Yeah,
so he was
did.
on the beach.
He had.
Yeah,
I was very happy when I saw
I
that.
know,
I'm
too.
like, this is all I wasn't expecting this, and this is great, and I
thought it was so funny. Just like the whole his whole line was just perfect for it too.
Yeah. Ooh, I just thought of one. I feel like this is more of a TV show thing. Like it would be a better TV show than a movie, but like a Skyrim or like an Elder Scrolls. I think that would be really fun.
That's another one where it's pretty open-ended.
Mm-hmm.
So they could easily do it, but they would
Yeah.
have to be very careful about not just having it be like a generic medieval.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've never played
Yeah.
the games.
I remembered what I was
I
finally
haven't
going to
played
say.
Skyrim, yeah, but yeah.
The
I could see
Diablo series would actually be pretty cool because it's also hugely cinematic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Technically, I would still. This would be kind of one I'd want to be more animated movie.
Mm.
Like the full cinematic animation would be really cool to see, like a full story played out.
Mm.
Because some of the animations they do for it, just for the game, look incredible.
The animations are good, but then you get to the gameplay and you're like, this is just bird's eye view. Not that.
I had
Yeah.
fun with it.
No, it's a
any
fun
of
game.
Same.
I'm saying the cutscenes are very different from the gameplay.
Mm.
But yeah, I don't know. Is there one you can think of other than a? Oh wait, that was you.
Yeah.
Unpaid intern Kyle. Which one would you pick? Do you know?
To turn into a movie?
Yeah.
See, I wasn't ready for this question at all. But I really
Do
do
you want a
agree
list
with
of
you.
video games? I looked up my games because I couldn't remember it.
He's like Call of Duty.
I wanted to say that too. I was like, they should do a Call of Duty movie.
I think they were
I
planning.
feel like
on
they
it.
could pull off a God of War movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an upcoming rumor too. Not for
Really?
a movie, but for a TV series.
Now, would we want
Yeah,
first
okay.
3 trilogy or recent trilogy? Or I guess technically not a trilogy.
I'd be okay with either.
I think
A young
TV
creator.
It's-
series, they could do like the first 3, like, as first couple episodes, get behind the character and everything.
Yeah.
Or at least the first season
I
or
think
something.
like the more recent Ragnarok stuff would be better suited for a TV show because, you know, the original games were more, you know, action, hack and slash.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Kind of like Kratos was very different as a character.
Mm.
So I think
Definitely.
having the new one kind of adapted to a TV show I think would work pretty well. But yeah, I'd be curious.
Mm.
One that I would be happy with is I don't know if you guys played Star Wars: The Force Unleashed.
Yes.
But for the longest time, now that Disney has Marvel, I'm like, please just put Star. I don't even care if he's the main character. Just put him somewhere.
Yes.
Make him canon.
Same
really
with
cool.
Fallen Order, and
Yeah.
I played that last year for the first time. Super fun.
Good movie.
Mm-hmm.
So
Game.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it should be a movie. Like I was like when Obi-Wan came out, I'm like I can see. I keep on wanting to say Cassian Cage. It's not. Why am I coming up with his name? Whatever main character is in Fallen Order, I thought he was going to show up.
Cal
Cal Kestis.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why that name came back. I'm like, it's two CU sounding words.
Yeah. And like his actor is already an actor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
And he's like good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
like
a really good
sorry,
actor.
my voice cracked.
It's passion. I get it.
but yeah,
Also, anything with the Old Republic, I want to see into it.
I know I'm still
I've
waiting
heard
for
so
them to do
much
it.
Yeah.
good things about Old Republic.
Like, just, I mean, they have, like, 8-10 minute.
Like, it's also for the
Like-
longest time. This is completely off subject, but
Yeah.
who cares? Why can't we just get a Star Wars movie from the dark side?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
fully from the dark side. Not them starting on the dark side. Not them, like, if they just took even Revan's character and did him,
Yeah.
that would be great.
Just their point of view the entire time, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Oh, now I finally see the light. Like,
Yeah.
now I want to see the dark.
Come on, Disney.
Like,
Yeah.
I want a bounty hunters movie that's like,
Not like Book of Boba Fett.
oh, of course not.
You, you mean Mandalorian season 3?
Mandalorian season 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why they feel like everything has to have a... Like, I know it's Disney, and that's, like, the stereotype for them, but it's, like, you could do some dark stuff.
Yeah, and they definitely should. They have the opportunity to do so.
Rewatching all my childhood movies, there's some stuff in there I didn't know was there until I grew up.
What about a Darth Maul? I think a Darth. Okay, no, this is separating from video games now.
I mean, I can bring one thing up for like a movie that supposedly was getting an adaptation was Borderlands was going to become a movie.
Oh, cool.
They haven't like heard.
I think that's
anything
still...
on it.
So that is something we'll jump to towards the end, is, like, upcoming stuff that's either confirmed or rumored.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I want to jump to while we were still talking about the bad adaptations, it's not... Like, when it comes to making an adaptation, it's not often just video game adaptations that fail. And this is a problem with trying to transfer one media to another, because we've seen the same thing happen with even books, cartoons, or, like, toy lines.
Mm-hmm.
As big of a fanboy as I am for Transformers, I know that, like, Michael Bay's Transformers movies aren't that good. I still have a lot of fun with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's, like, we've seen it with that. He also did Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which, he's like, well, Transformers did good. Let's do this other popular kids' toy. G.I. Joe got 2 movies. One of them had Channing Tatum, which is cool, I guess. I think he died in, like, the first 10 minutes, though.
Of the second movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had just recently watched, this was a part of like The Rock hate.
Yeah.
And they were basically trying to say that The Rock upstaged Channing Tatum in that second movie.
But was he in those movies?
He was for the second one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that's apparently partially as Channing Tatum dies, and then The Rock takes over as the new main character.
Yeah.
Well, we all love The Rock, don't we?
No.
I'm fine with him.
I don't like The Rock. He's, like, him...
He's overhyped.
Him, Mark Wahlberg, Kevin Hart, probably like 3 other actors I can't think of the name of. They all just play themselves.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with that? Sometimes it's funny.
It's boring when it happens over and over
Well-
again. This is why I don't like Liam Neeson anymore.
Yeah, you know what you're getting every time.
I mean, I don't know. Have either of you watched like Ted or A Million Ways to Die in the West? I love seeing Liam Neeson in that from such a serious
Okay,
character.
yeah, that's
It is so funny just to see him show up in those movies.
Yeah, when he's trying to buy tricks.
Trying-
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you the money.
And I won't
I'm
be
just gonna
followed.
walk out of here. Without any problems, right?
I won't
Yeah.
be followed.
Yeah.
But yeah, on other adaptations we've seen, like Twilight, for all the angsty teenage girls out there who are still holding on to it.
To be honest, I don't mind the movies.
The third
I'm
one,
gonna be honest with you.
the third one's good. The first two, they needed work.
I'm
I
pretty
understand
sure
the cringe and the horrible reviews.
Yeah.
I don't mind.
I brought this up at some point on another episode, but Transformers and Twilight are in the same boat for me. Like, for the people that like them. in the sense that the fans of them know what it is, but they welcome and accept it for that reason. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Gotta get some context in
Yeah.
there.
Wildly.
Sparkly vampires and Transformers.
Yeah.
Rusty robots.
I loved seeing Edward driving around Optimus Prime.
Yeah. Oh man. Also in this boat, we already touched on it, but like the Witcher TV series, which that one more people like, but
It was doing well,
They did a
but
better
it
job
started.
on it so
Yeah,
far.
yeah.
there was
it really good.
a more recent one that I didn't even watch called The Witcher Blood Origin, but I watched reviews and it's like getting a
I've
lot
heard-
of hate.
Yeah, I've heard pretty bad things
I-
for it.
I've been hesitant to watch that.
Yeah. So I haven't seen it. Might be amazing in my opinion, but I'm probably not. And then the one we touched on with Moist Critical talking about Velma also recently got adapted.
Yeah, one episode, and so many people have already hated it.
Yeah.
But it's already getting a talked about for a second season's gonna come out.
Well, it's just what they did essentially is like they took Velma, made her like apparently she's extremely unlikable in the show. Like she's just a very mean girl.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And I guess the show's super edgy. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like what DC did with Harley Quinn when they gave her own show,
Mm.
but their goal was to take it and make it for a mature audience, whatever.
Right.
But it has almost nothing to do with Scooby-Doo, and that's where people are mad. They're like, "Why are you?" Because the show's like actively insulting Scooby-Doo as well.
Really?
Like, there's a whole sequence where Velma just
just-
makes fun of Fred's man giblets.
It's the name grab.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
And honestly, too, like just looking at the characters, I personally don't find that like the appeal for them. Like looking back at the original characters, like growing up with that's memorable, and just the way that they're designing the characters, they just looked shaped like triangle shaped eyes, and it's weird that they gave good diversity to everybody.
Mm.
But then Fred looks also very, what's the word for it? Very basic white.
Oh yeah,
That's fair.
yeah.
But I think that's what he's supposed to be, though. He's
Exactly, but it's like,
yeah.
why did they need to change everybody? But then they wanted one person still to take
right.
kind of like still have that fall.
Yeah, and this is just another example of not paying like any respect whatsoever to the source material.
like I was pumped. Like, well, like when I first heard that they're gonna do some sort of Scooby Doo, like they're gonna bring back Scooby Doo, and I'm like, this is gonna be sick. I'm excited for. I want a good monster, like fun little monster.
Yeah, and
movie.
doing like an adult-oriented rendition of that sounds totally
Oh
fine.
yeah,
Would've been
and you can do it easily.
So yeah, that's a big one that people are talking about right now. And there's another one we'll talk about here in a second once we get to the good stuff. But yeah, it's just adaptations have to pay respect to the source material, or else what reason can you give for that adaptation being necessary? You know, shows like She-Hulk, Velma, like we talked about, openly insult their fan base or what should be their intended fan base.
Mm-hmm.
Like She-Hulk. The whole thing where she's like downplaying the Hulk, like telling him to his face that he's not as good as her and all that good stuff. Which I know, like, woke, whatever. I'm going to avoid that stuff because I don't want to get yelled at by people. But yeah, just stuff like that. But now we can kind of pivot over to adaptations we've seen that have been good. And some of these are still like, you know, you look at the movie like you said with Uncharted, like the movie's fine. You know, it's not the best depiction. But these are movies that are kind of more well received. And at the top of that list was Uncharted in 2022, recent adaptation. 2018, we also had the Tomb Raider movie reboot. I don't know if any of you saw that one.
I watched
Yeah,
that.
I think I saw it
There was a
once.
reboot?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have
I know the lore. I know
like the old Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, I know
Tomb Raider
those
movies.
movies. There's another one.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was another one.
So they did a recent one, which it's probably in the same boat as Uncharted for me. Like, it was fine. Like, I remember not hating the movie, but
I wasn't crazy into it, but I wasn't hating it.
Yeah.
But I also knew nothing about Lara Croft.
We also had some pretty successful movies with Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2.
Very great movies. Those are just fun.
Yeah. I didn't see 2, but I actually heard 2 was pretty good.
I need to get
didn't
around
watch
to
either.
it.
I enjoyed
was
both.
hesitant.
From the standpoint that, again, this is one of those like movies where they did have to create like their own intro narrative,
Yeah.
which they have Sonic from home loses that home and is sent to our world, which Earth is like another world to him.
Yeah, has nothing to do with the games other than Dr. Robotnik's in it.
Yeah, that's kind of how they get his origin, is that Dr. Robotnik is from Earth. He creates his robotic army there, and he meets Sonic in Earth, and he's wanting that power for himself. And I could easily see that it's like, with how the first one is that he is left on another world later on and comes back. They could even add it to that another movie would be them going back to Sonic's world, and then that fits into that entire gameplay narrative that this is Sonic's world now. He's been protecting it there, and he's able to jump to different worlds.
Yeah. And I think this is just an example of, like, if you have a game that doesn't have a strong narrative to where you can kind of have some leniency and do what you want with it, at least get good writers.
Yeah, unlike Need for Speed.
Yeah, just write a movie that's interesting using the characters. Like, that's fine. Sonic did it correctly, whereas the ones we talked about, which give you, like, the most cookie-cutter generic representation of that, video game. But another one with Castlevania, which I never played the games, but there's, like, an anime on Netflix for it that I've heard is really good.
So good.
I've heard it's good. I haven't watched it, though.
And then Arcane. I've never played League of Legends, but this is a video game adaptation that's actually, like, gotten awards for how good it is with its storytelling.
And then again, like, the people, the fan base of League of Legends were actually enjoying this series because it was something put together. It technically is just the world and some characters.
Oh, okay.
So it's not something this isn't something the game actually goes through. The game itself just uses these characters, and then they created an entire story.
I think parts of it are tied in, because, like, I think League of Legends has more...
The lore for it is where it's tied in,
like,
but it's not the game's story driven.
Yeah, like, I think it is faithful to how some characters came to be.
Yes.
Like, I forget her name, but Shark Rocket Launcher Lady.
Oh, Jinx.
Yeah, Jinx. Just stuff like that, like... And then a really old adaptation that I think a lot of people don't consider when they're panning on video game adaptations is Pokemon. Like, that show ran for a long time, and I don't think anyone openly hates it.
Oh, there's people who love it.
Yeah.
Although, I feel like we're getting to the point where it's been out too long, and they're running out of ideas on creating new Pokemon.
Yeah. Didn't they just hit their 1,000th one? And... got some backlash for it.
Well, did you guys like Detective Pikachu and all that? Like, I know it's like...
I thought it was fun.
It was okay.
Yeah,
it was actually decently good for, like, being a live-action Pokemon movie.
Would you see a sequel? Like, if they made it, do you think they should make a sequel? Or what should they do if they want to make another Pokemon centered?
I don't know.
It's always so difficult, because, again, like, we are getting better with our CGIs, but at the same time, sometimes it can be... still bad to see it. And with a movie based like that, the entire world is needing a CGI aspect. It was a little weird for Detective Pikachu with how neon I felt it was. There was so many...
like, the Pokemon definitely stand out.
Yes.
Because you can tell it's different. I mean, it's weird, because Pokemon for me is one that I don't think needs an adaptation, and this is something that I think can be true for a lot of video games. I mean, I'm fine with the show, because, like, we even had animated Pokemon movies that were great. That's a lot of my childhood was watching, what was it, like the first Pokemon movie.
2000, Pokemon 2001.
Some stuff doesn't need to be made into live action. You know, I know they're looking at redoing like Avatar: The Last Airbender in live action again, and we all know how that went the first time.
That was awful.
Like some stuff doesn't need.
The
to
good
be
news
brought
is
over.
we're getting better animated movies too, and
Yeah.
I'm stoked for those.
What about the Dragon Ball Z movie?
The Dragon Ball Z
They
movie.
made Dragon Ball movie?
That was such
Yeah,
a
no,
Yeah.
they made one Dragon Ball
Dragon
movie.
Ball
It was horrible.
Evolution.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
I
was
never watched
awful.
it.
I love the like funny videos from it though. Cause see, sometimes you have movies that we don't ever want to mention again, and we want to forget because they're just so bad. Then you have movies that are just fantastic, but they like District 9 changed the name again, so they don't actually know that origin that it was going to be a game.
Yeah.
And then you have stuff like Dragon Ball Z that's just funny to make fun of.
Yeah.
Right.
No, the movie.
Okay.
The movie.
Yeah, that's another like same thing as Pokemon. Dragon Ball Z has these like great animated movies. There's no reason to try and do it in live action, but they will try.
Yeah.
If there's money to be had, they will try.
Yeah. And then they won't learn.
Yeah.
Won't learn, no.
This before we get to the big one on this good adaptations list, there's one that's kind of niche for me, called Nier Automata, which recently got the first 2 episodes of an anime series. And Nier Automata is like in my top 3 games of all time, and this adaptation literally just follows the game story in show form, which kind of similar to the one we're about to talk about, but it's really good. And I'm happy to see some adaptations just do that. Like they don't change anything. They have a formula that works or a story that's strong enough to be adapted.
What's this one called?
Nier Automata.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
One thing again, like
Seen it.
that's
I've never
kind of
even
done
heard of
something
it.
Yeah.
similar. Is I have the Persona series. Persona 5 was a really good game. It's a JRPG,
Mm-hmm.
and they turned that into an animated series because the game itself, you do have quite a bit of playtime. It kind of plays like a turn-based Pokemon, but you're able to walk freely around to different map locations. The game itself has a ton of actual animated cutscenes where they've made scenes into an anime, and then it plays out a little bit, and then you continue your game. They turned the entire game into a 21 episode anime, and it was great.
Yeah, and I think animated stuff typically fares better than live action adaptations, because we've seen it too with like some of the Final Fantasy movies that are pretty good. It's just probably easier
Yeah.
to do an
Animation is a much better look. I mean, in my opinion, that's why I think DC is sometimes better, because DC animated movies are fantastic.
Oh, yeah, the live actions are where they go wrong.
Live actions completely fail. It's like, okay, why can we make a brilliant animation of DC here, but then when we go to make it live action, it just falls apart? Like, why can't we recreate that?
Right.
We have the cast that can be chosen perfectly.
Yeah.
We've got our Superman. We could easily pick out everybody else.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have our Superman anymore.
No, we have him. We have him.
DC's all over the place right now.
It
Because
will be
remember, The Rock, didn't the end of Black Adam tease, him versus Superman, right?
They tried.
Cavill,
The
actually
Rock
comes
wanted
in.
to do
And then The Rock's I remember DC told The Rock, no, Henry Cavill's not Superman anymore, and The Rock's like, yes, he is, and then they were like, okay, we'll bring Henry Cavill back, and then they're like, no, we're not bringing Henry Cavill back.
Yeah, no, it's a
And then,
huge.
and then Black Adam was like, all right, see ya.
Yeah, no, it's a big fight with that all right now, because I know Henry Cavill, Gal Gadot, and Ben Affleck were all signed contracts for movies, and they're just terminating their contracts. So now they're trying to fight that.
Yeah,
We've got
they're
The
trying to
Rock
sue
trying to
WB
fight
now.
that because he's not into it either. So there's a huge problem over there right now in that studio department.
I think we should have a full episode on DC.
I agree.
I think we could.
100%.
We
I
could
agree.
also do one for Marvel and Civil War debate.
I don't know if we could. I don't know if we could do that.
We already did that,
Yeah.
sort of.
Sort of.
I'd be down to do a DC episode,
Yeah.
though. We could get Amy over here.
Yeah, she'll just be like, Robert Pattinson needs to stay, and that's it. And that's her only opinion. You hear that, Amy?
And then the last adaptation for the good side here we want to talk about, which this one's kind of the main driving force for why we wanted to do this episode, but The Last of Us has aired its first episode in its TV series on HBO Max. Mm-hmm. And, oh man, I don't think I've ever been so impressed with an adaptation.
It is wonderful.
I've never impulsively got something so quick in my life after like watching an episode of Last of Us. I'm like, I'm buying the game.
I'm buying the game. You didn't play the game prior?
I'd watched I'd basically watched people play through the game about as far as the first episode.
Okay.
So kind of like how watching this right now.
This is the end of the... yeah, I'm like very scared to like look at the TV in the next few minutes. But yeah, I really want to play it because I love Naughty Dog. Naughty Dog was good. But yeah,
this game was so good. I didn't know what to play afterwards because I knew whatever it was going to be wasn't going to be as good as The Last of Us. I knew it wasn't going to.
And that's why they keep on re-releasing it because they
keep releasing it. It's for that reason though that people were kind of scared about this show because they're like, well, you're touching a video game that a lot of people hold like really near and dear, and I can't believe that the adaptation was like it's extremely faithful to the source material. Like it does.
I'm loving all the comparisons I'm seeing there.
Like it does minorly change some things, but it's like nowhere near as egregious as like what they did to Master Chief.
Yes, 100%.
One of my friends was like, yo, I don't know if I want to watch this because what's the kid's name at the beginning? Sarah. He's like, I don't know if I want to watch this. Sarah's not white. It's just. I'm like, get over yourself.
How big of a deal is it?
I don't really see it as being like woke and like there are cases where I definitely do. Little Mermaid, but like this one, because you have.
The subtle laugh right after every.
You have Pedro Pascal, who they brought in as Joel, who did a really good job.
I was actually legit scared. I'm like, I don't know how he's gonna do it because he's Hispanic, right? And like, I'm like, and I don't know. I just didn't really see the resemblance between the two, and then all of a sudden you add the facial hair color. I'm like, and like all the makeup.
I know, like after seeing it in there, it's like it's a good cast because it looks just like him.
Yeah. He's never been in a TV series rated under 90%.
Right.
I'm not
See,
Tomatoes.
The argument I make that people will argue with me on a lot is like if you're gonna recast color wise, like for diversity or whatever, have it do it because the person you want in that role is like competent for that role.
Yeah.
Like I don't Pedro Pascal is chef's kiss as Joel. Maybe before seeing it, like I didn't really have like a fan cast for it, but now I, with one episode, can't really see anyone else doing it better.
Oh yeah.
I'm personally also really liking Ellie's cast as well.
And this is one that a lot of people.
I was indifferent. I'm hating like just all the hate towards her because it just doesn't make sense. Some people are being honestly grotesque for it because it's like they're like she doesn't look good enough, and I'm like.
She's literally 14, so...
She plays the part well, looks very close to the character.
Yeah, she's got that attitude.
Yeah.
She plays her well.
I love that.
Yeah, she does a great job. Just people online are assholes.
Basically, yeah.
They're like, it doesn't look exactly like Elliot Page.
Yeah.
Which, Elliot Page didn't even play the character.
That's right. I was like, I don't think she was in it.
It was just like a resemblance. Yeah. I don't know. That kind of stuff people are stupid about.
Yeah.
Those are like the small nitpick complaints that people have to throw out there. Just
like I don't care if the character looks physically different as long as they are good in the role and like bring something to it.
As long as it's not off-putting. I didn't think Sarah was off-putting at all.
I don't know if you guys watched like the last 5 minutes where it kind of goes over like upcoming in the season and then like behind the scenes afterwards.
And that in the end of the show?
They had to have Sarah be so wildly different, like compared to Ellie, to show the contrast between the two characters.
Yeah.
And like Sarah cries when he kills the neighbor, right?
Ellie, like
the end of this, like
she's like there for it.
She's like, okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's so good. I know that's like your sister's favorite line.
Oh yeah.
It's so.
I didn't realize how often she said it until like a couple people were listening. They're like, I just can't wait to hear Amy say it's so good. Okay.
But yeah, they are just taking the game storyline and just rolling with it. Like there's minor changes, like the spores are gone.
Yeah, the spore room was gone. Towards the very start, where Joel's running out of the town.
Which is it.
Yeah,
that's not a big deal to be.
Because I watched a review from someone who had like the screener for the whole season.
Okay.
So like spores are gone, but they're gonna be replaced by something pretty similar. And then apparently the part you're gonna have with Bill, like where they go through his like booby trap town, that's apparently gonna be pretty different.
Really?
Which I mean, it looks like there's a little more backstory. This time around.
But like from what I've seen just with one episode, it's very much paying the respect to the game. And I think I don't even know if this is a hot take because I've seen a lot of people have the same opinion, but I think this even handles, that initial shock of the young girl's death even better than the game because you're simply just spending more time with her.
Yeah. I remember crying when I was watching like the gameplay of it, and then like I'm like, oh, I'm expecting it to happen in the show, but I'm like, no, I'm going closer to her. No,
I know where it's
more
at.
Time with her. You fell in love with that character in. What, 30 minutes?
Yeah. It was like 20 minutes before they were in the truck leaving.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was fast.
And you think, like, she's the protagonist.
Right.
For the most part.
And then us poor gamers, we knew.
We knew.
Even the second time I wasn't ready.
I wasn't prepared for, like, how well she died.
Yeah.
Like she did that
she
very
did her
well.
acting very well.
Yeah, I remember, did you guys watch, like, the highlight thing after the episode where they like talked about the filming and stuff?
No.
And they're like, same thing as the game. They're like, her death can't be a pretty death. It's gotta be. It's
supposed to be.
Yeah. It's supposed to be gut wrenching, and it is just as much as it was the first time it happened.
Like she's supposed to suffer.
Yeah.
So yeah, very much looking forward to seeing the rest of the series.
Changes Joel right there.
Yeah.
Like for the rest of his life.
So does Joel, like, I know at the end of the episode Joel's like beaten down on that is it a fire? Okay, I need to like figure out, is the government group
Fedra.
is okay.
Yeah.
Is the Fedra guy that he like was wailing on, does that happen in the game? Like, because I don't remember.
No.
I didn't pay attention here, but
the game doesn't really dive into their relations with any of the Fedra officers.
Yeah.
I also think, I don't quite remember because it's been a while since I've played the game, but his motivations for going to find Tommy was
that.
It was different, right? Because initially
it wasn't at the very start. Like in the show, he was trying to get a battery and to leave.
Yeah.
That's not what actually in the game was. They were trying to get their weapons from Robert. And he sold those to the Firefly.
And this just happened, and then they get out of the city and one thing leads to another.
But like,
I feel like they went to where Tommy was, because technically they weren't really speaking, from what I remember in the game.
They weren't on good terms.
Yeah,
and
it had been a while.
Just happened to pass.
Yeah, they were heading in that direction, and I think they met up.
Which I'm fine with the narrative differences as long as they make sense for like the story and it's not wild.
They could be removing the damn altogether.
I don't think they are, and the reason I say that is because like the radio guy who was talking to saying like he lost contact. I'm assuming it's because at this point they've lost power.
Okay.
Because remember, you go to the dam to help them like get it back on.
Yeah, you have to get it back up.
You also paid attention to the song at the very end too.
It's like 80s.
It was Depeche Mode. It was
it's
80s, which means
trouble, right?
Something bad happened.
Oh, there's okay. I also like sort of zoned out at the part where they're explaining what the purpose of the music was.
Yeah, just their codes.
Okay.
Yeah. I also zoned out there. I didn't notice that at all.
It's like 60s. They have new things coming in. 70s they don't have new stock. 80s is bad.
Trouble.
Yeah.
Which I like that scene with Ellie where she's like going through Joel's notes or whatever, and she's like, "Well, this is what this and this means," and then she starts singing an 80s song. Or no, she tells Joel
the radio
that a song was playing, and he's like, "What happened?" And she's like, "Oh, so it's trouble."
Yeah. Gotcha.
Was that in the game? Like, is that?
I don't think so. I don't
think it was.
I don't think the radio guy's even in the game.
Oh, okay.
No.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a little bit of like minor differences, but
that wasn't in the game. that dialogue wasn't, but I feel like that's Ellie.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Yeah.
That is her. Like, she
And
would
that's
do that.
what's interesting too is they told Bella Ramsey not to play the game, so she doesn't even she hasn't
Really?
seen the original depiction
Why
of Ellie.
not?
I kind of hope she plays.
They
it
wanted
live.
her
Interesting
to.
take.
They wanted her to do her own.
her own take rather
Take
than
on it, like,
just try and
doing
copy.
it.
Yeah,
Like,
like they
similar
told her
job.
what they told her what to embody,
Okay.
be a smart ass, all that
Okay.
good stuff. But they told her don't play the game because we want you to bring your acting to the role rather than trying to impersonate.
Okay.
So and it's working out.
I hope she plays it
Yeah.
after at least though. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm a little nervous about this. I don't know. Like if she's doing good right now, but I'm like scared that like if I grind through the game within the next couple of weeks and then I don't like I don't know if it's too off putting if the acting's different. But
They are pretty close so far from what I've seen.
mm,
I also liked how they brought Marlene, like the same
Oh yeah,
same actress in.
yeah, that was
Oh, really?
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
the
Same
cool.
girl from the game.
the same
Cool.
voice actors actually playing the role. But yeah, so that's the big one we wanted to talk about. Just a recent example of an adaptation that is doing pretty much everything right. And this is something I really think people should look at if they're looking at adapting other things, because this is an example where they put in the work. Most importantly, they brought in someone who made the game to help co-create the series. So the
Yeah.
respect
And
is
also
Always
Just
worth
the
doing
credits.
that for
Yeah.
sure. Like I said, it's don't do the small team. Just kind of throw something together. You want to really build on this adaptation, and you want to follow it as best as you can,
yeah,
and you'll get great reviews and tons of fans.
right.
Yeah, they got the skyscrapers tilting.
Yeah.
Like, they got,
Yeah,
they
no,
got
I'm
those things
honestly
hacked.
tempted to watch the next episode when it comes out. Typically, I don't like watching one at a time, but
Same, but I feel
seeing
like this
that,
is good enough to where I can't wait.
I know,
I
yeah.
want to keep watching.
I think this is one I'm going to watch weekly, and then as soon as it's done and it's all available,
binge
I'm
it
just
all.
going to go,
Yeah.
through the whole
Oh,
series. Assuming. I mean, from what I've heard, the two people I've watched reviews for that did watch the whole series, they said it is good the whole way through. So I don't...
Well, there's people that have seen it
yeah,
start to finish. Cool.
So
this
yeah.
brings up my question: why do they release it one at a time then?
It's an HBO thing,
And
I like Mandalorian.
I don't know, I feel like just some
Yeah.
people do it, some people don't. It's
I
weird.
think from a business standpoint, it's better because you're not going to throw everything out. Everybody can watch it within a week, and they'll.
if you like the first few, you'll come back. For
Well,
more.
if you're gonna binge an entire series, you can probably do it in a week, and you can just get a free trial on whatever you're watching.
Yeah.
That's
But if
true.
you do the weekly thing, you have to I have to buy it, or you can just do what some people do. I've never done this before. Don't call me out, please. This isn't me. But making multiple accounts. I've never done that. Let's put that. No, yeah. I don't know. I think it's just making sure that money goes they're making money off of it.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. So that aside,
I got a list of up and comings. That
I
would
do
be pretty
too.
good.
so what we're going to shift over to now before we wrap up for today, we're just going to talk about some stuff that's kind of in the rumor mill for upcoming video game and adaptations for TV and movies. Some stuff we kind of already briefly touched on. but
We've got the Super Mario movie that's coming out.
Yes, this one already has a trailer. It's happening. I'm excited. I don't really like Chris Pratt that much as Mario, but
Yeah,
I'm willing to give him a shot.
As I said, I'm okay with the casting for it. It sounds fun.
It's me. It's Mario.
Wahoo!
Yeah.
Like Tony said in the last episode.
I will admit I haven't watched the trailers for it to hear how they sound.
You haven't watched a trailer for it yet?
No.
Okay, just watch the first trailer.
watched the first
You can
trailer.
skip the second one. The second one's I hated the second trailer.
So yeah, that one's coming. We've got a Sonic the Hedgehog 3 happening, which
Not until next year, December.
Wait, Jim
apparently.
Carrey's coming
Yeah,
back.
I'll
I
even
thought he
watch
No,
it.
so Jim Carrey even said that he wasn't going to come back for the next one. If you saw the second one, it ends with Shadow coming out. And that's why I'm super stoked. Shadow is a really cool character, so I'm really excited
Did
to see
Dr.
how they do.
Robotnik die, or is he just...
We don't know.
Okay.
With how they ended it, like I said, could mean that he's somewhere else again.
yeah,
I mean, he had all power, so he could have moved somewhere else. but it might not continue after the third as well. So we'll see.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff on here that's TBA. Like, there's not a release date. Not even confirmed for this year. But
Well, what stuff do we have for that is confirmed?
so Mario
the
and
two we
Sonic.
listed,
Honestly, oh well, The Last of Us, but that's here.
and then the next Witcher season 3 apparently is summer this year.
Yeah, Witcher season 3, Halo season 2. Who cares?
Put your head
I
out
do.
of Canaan.
Not much that's like solid set in stone, but there is some really excited stuff that's TBA. Like, we're gonna get a Minecraft movie.
No.
Are we excited for it?
Oh. Like,
That's gonna be so stupid, bro.
Yeah, probably.
Probably. It's funny you brought up, but Detective Pikachu's actually on the list for number
sick.
2.
Sick.
I brought up Borderlands,
Mm-hmm.
and then one thing I'm excited for because I forgot about it is BioShock. This
Okay.
has
Bioshock
been in the
could
works.
Be a really good one.
Yeah,
I'd
Yeah.
love to see a BioShock one. That'd be-
Bioshock has a good world and
It has
narrative.
a wonderful world.
What about a
narrative.
Red Dead? Is there a Red Dead in that list?
I'm not seeing one. I do see.
I
I do see
didn't even
his.
think about that.
Yeah.
That would be
His
good.
list.
We don't have a lot of cowboy stuff. I also want
We haven't
cowboys.
done a lot of cowboy
I
stuff
want
recently.
cowboys.
That'd be really cool.
And those games are so good.
I've heard such good things about them. I haven't
Never-
touched
That's
it.
actually kind of cool.
I-
'Cause that movie
I
is
was a
crazy.
sheltered Mormon boy, so
That's
like
fair.
I could.
I don't think I could
play
go
along
through
with
Hold
that
on,
scene,
you two guys are talking at the same time.
Sorry, sorry about the side conversations.
What's it? Yakuza?
Ah, cool.
Okay.
I don't know much about Yakuza.
I don't either.
There's
I
a
just
ton
know
of
it's a
different
popular
stories
game.
for them.
Death Stranding, which I would love to have be a movie.
Yes.
Mega Man, which I'm not a big Mega Man man.
I like the second one. That's the only one I've played.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I've never played any of them.
There's a bunch on here I'm not super familiar with, but like if we're looking at bigger ones, like Metal Gear Solid might get a movie. Just Cause, stuff like Duke Nukem.
What about Gears of War?
Gears of War would be a fantastic movie.
I don't see.
Actually,
anything.
I remember because I remember
heard a
there
lot of
was a
people
recent
Talking
Dave
about
Bautista.
Dave Bautista.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the ones we're talking about
not on our
here,
list right now. So
these
who
are just
knows?
for the movies, so I haven't looked at like the TV shows
Okay.
yet, but
Is that what it was? Was
Maybe
it gonna be
it's
a
not
TV
even
show?
confirmed. I'm not
I
sure.
don't know. But I mean, there's also Firewatch, which is a lovely little game that I think would actually be pretty cool to see.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
which
Go-
one's Firewatch? I can't remember that one.
It's the walking simulator where you're up in the fire tower and you're like talking on the radio with the lady who's like miles away in the other tower.
I remember seeing the E3.
Yeah,
trailer for
dives
that.
into a bit of mystery and stuff. It's pretty fun. Ghost of Tsushima, which
I
is
heard that one was good.
That'd be
One of my
fantastic.
favorite games.
yeah, that would be really cool to see an adaptation for.
Yeah.
Especially if they like paid homage to some of the old style like samurai movies.
Mm.
I forget the name of the director that's like famous for it, but like that.
Yeah. Which I think the second one game's coming up, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Whoa, Sifu.
Yeah, there's some pretty good big names on the movie list. They're all TBA. Towards the bottom, there's a lot of status unknown.
Oh, there is gonna be a it's status unknown. Call of Duty movie.
Call of Duty movie status
It's gonna
unknown.
be so
Heck
dumb.
On the TV series, Gears of War is there though for the
Okay.
two TBA.
Yeah. Lastly, for the movies, some other bigger ones like Days Gone, Mortal Kombat 2, which I'm sure is expected.
I peeked over at your list. I saw Just Dance on
Just
that.
Dance.
That is horrendous. Oh my god.
And
It's gonna be like pitch perfect, but it's all dance.
Yeah.
And they're gonna have like a mat laid out.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there's
That's
not
not a
even
bad
step
idea.
up. Like,
Step Up is cringy though.
yeah. You think Just Dance is gonna be better?
Oh no, I'm not saying it.
People are into it. I'm not, but
Oh man.
did they make like 4 step-up movies?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
four
they've
too
made so
many.
And then on the TV side, the ones we already talked about with like Halo and The Witcher, Tomb Raider anime series apparently.
That'd be interesting.
Pokemon live action TV series, Arcane
season 2.
Yeah, Arcane season 2. Assassin's Creed apparently might get a TV series.
That could
There's
be
going to be a
interesting.
Fallout TV series. That'd be interesting, depending on which narrative they go with.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I would love? 'Cause if there's going to be a Mass Effect TV series, I would also love to see HBO do that.
I feel like HBO could pull that off.
Yeah. They typically like do put the money into their big productions. So like Mass Effect would need a lot.
Yeah.
Nier Automata, that's actually already happening, so I don't know why that's TBA, but yeah.
They have Gears of War up there.
Yeah, Gears of War, God of War.
God of War TV
Oh,
series.
Twisted Metal. Okay. That's an old one.
Apparently Horizon.
Oh, yeah, I remember Grounded was actually going to get something, too.
So,
Which, that would actually be kind of cool. It's Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but in a backyard.
So, some stuff to look forward to. And again, like, knowing how adaptations work out, I'm sure only half of them will be passable. And maybe a fourth of them good. I'm hoping with The Last of Us that we're at a key pivotal moment where we'll see a change. And that's not to say that The Last of Us is the thing that's, like, broken the curse of adaptations being
But it's
bad.
got to be the standard from now on.
Yeah, I mean, because you could argue Arcane was like the first really, really like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it got awards.
It got praised, critically acclaimed.
So yeah, there's some stuff to be excited about for sure, and we're just at that key moment. We're starting to see examples where these adaptations can be done correctly. And if they keep doing it, maybe we can finally enter a new era, kick Marvel a little bit to the side because people are kind of sick of Marvel at this point. I want to see blockbusters like just have some differentiation.
It would be nice to get some new stuff. Technically, I guess
I
not.
feel like every blockbuster is just a Marvel movie at this point.
Yeah.
Or they're following the cookie cutter style of what a Marvel movie is. It's just like, okay, here's some action cut down with a cheesy one-liner joke that we probably saw coming a mile away.
Yeah.
Like a sorry about that. Or...
That's why I like RRR as much as I do. It's like the blockbuster I wish America got. But
okay, I need to watch that one. You guys talked about that. I'm like, I want to watch it.
It was so fun.
you should watch it with us. I would wholly watch it.
I would totally watch it another time too. I need to watch it.
You said it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I've spent 9 hours watching that movie, Kyle.
It's a 3-hour movie.
It's a
3-hour movie.
Can we have like an intermission? I'll totally watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, no, there's actual scripted intermissions too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's part 1, part 2, and part 3.
Oh, sick. I think I'll need halfway through, but...
Yeah. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for today. Just, adaptations are, as gamers, something that we're always interested to see, but I still think cautiously optimistic to see at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But, it seems like it's a good time for them. So yeah. If you made it to this point in the episode, we would like to take a moment to thank you for listening, dear viewer, all 2 of you.
I'm one of them!
Hey, thanks, guys. We appreciate you guys.
But yeah, we're going to keep doing a bi-weekly schedule. Seems to be going good for us. If you want to stay tuned, our next episode should be a fun little Viking one. We're going to be sitting down with a friend who's an aspiring filmmaker to talk about Norse mythology and why we like it and all that good stuff.
Sick.
You're not invited, Sam.
No, I know. I'll listen when it comes out. It just sounds cool.
So yeah, you have that to look forward to. And then in the meantime, if you want to follow us so you're alerted when we make new episodes, we are on Twitter and Instagram. If you check the description on this episode, we're also on YouTube if you want to support us there. But with that being said, we will let you guys go and hopefully we'll catch you in our next episode.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.